Well, good evening, everybody. Just sitting here, just kind of waiting everybody kind of join in a little bit. So just wanted to kind of chat with you here for a few minutes and talk about, kind of what's going on with the weather tonight here and these winds. I tell you what, the winds outside tonight are and just today in general have probably been about as insane as I've ever seen them. I mean, these are just like almost like tropical storm force, hurricane force kind of winds that we're having over a good part of North Texas here tonight and Oklahoma here tonight. And this is all because of an intense storm system, which is, hey, what's up, Brandy? Hello, Judy. Which is actually continuing to intensify tonight up over northern Missouri. And it's actually starting to move away from us, but there's still a big pressure gradient around it. And the pressure gradient in the atmosphere, it acts a lot like almost like buildings and everything. If you think about buildings, whenever things gets close, you get wind that blows through through the buildings in the downtown area often. But the low pressure systems are a lot like that too. You get these pressure gradients and whatnot. It just creates these like tunnels almost, these vacuums, and it creates these strong winds. Hey, Megan, how are you? Hope you're doing well this evening here. Thanks for joining me here on Prime Time Weather with Ken Johnson. So so let's talk a little bit about the winds out there tonight, and I also want to talk a little bit about what's up, Ted, about the storms we had last night. So let's kind of talk a little bit first about the winds here. Give me a second. I'm going to have to change sources. First about the winds here. Give me a second. I'm going to have to change sources. So as I do that here, let me. You may not hear me for a second. So there we go. All right. So now. So if you look up here tonight into like there it is. There's your center of your low pressure there, just east of Kansas City. The barometric pressure, and this is being measured in millibars here, reads in Kansas City as of 9 o'clock tonight about 988, which is a pretty intense area of low pressure there in northern Missouri. I mean, it's not unheard of. Sometimes they get stronger than this, like there in the northeastern part of the country when they have the nor'easters. Sometimes they'll deepen and get lower than that, and sometimes you'll see the barometric pressure go lower than that, over the Pacific Ocean. But oftentimes we don't see areas of low pressure this intense in the middle of the country here. So this is a very intense area of low pressure, and again, it's just east of Kansas City tonight, where blizzard conditions are ongoing across parts of Iowa and Nebraska, and some of that will probably develop down into the Kansas City area later on tonight here. But if you look there, that's 988. If you go from there, look at how the pressure, it does come up as the further south you go, but that's that pressure gradient I'm talking about. And we're on the back side of that. We're getting those strong north and northwesterly winds here. If we kind of take a look at what the winds are doing across my part of the world here, this is winds as of right now. These are wind gusts in excess of 40 and 50 across the area still. This is into North Texas here. I'm going to pull in my other source. I have another source I want to pull in that shows more of North Texas here, that shows kind of down in the Metroplex. We got a lot of people who watch us on here from the Metroplex area now. I don't know why the numbers aren't showing up there. Give me a second. Let me see what's going on with that, because it should be. Well, I'm not sure why it's not showing the numbers down there in the Metroplex, but I can tell you right now that the winds down there are pretty strong, gusting probably into that 30 to 40 mile per hour range in those areas as well. If we kind of look, if you kind of want to know when those, first of all, look at the water vapor tonight. This is a good way to kind of be able to look at, and you can really pick out weather features. You can see that big spin. This is a classic storm, really intense storm. Out ahead of it, there's been some more severe weather today, especially across South Mississippi, and looks like there's some across South Alabama tonight. And again, the back side of it's where we're seeing the snow here, way up here. This is where your snow area is, kind of on this side of it here. There's your thunderstorm side, and this is what we call a dry slot. Anytime you have a mature storm, it draws the dry air in the middle of it, and then you get the wraparound moisture on the back side. That's what a classic comma shape to it. The classic what's called mid-latitude traveling cyclone is what it's called. If we kind of take a look at those winds, as we head into the next 24 hours or so. So it does look like it remains very gusty winds tonight. Okay, that continues. But people want to know when the winds are going to finally die down, and I really just don't know that I see it really dying down a whole lot tonight. It'll die down some, but it's still pretty windy. And there's been reports of power outages across the area. I know there's some up towards Waurika. I'll have to look and see what Encore is reporting. But even tomorrow will not be as windy as today, okay? It's still going to be pretty breezy out there, but that big storm is moving away from us. And we actually have an area of high pressure that's going to be replacing it. It's kind of located right over in this area tomorrow afternoon. So we still have the north winds on the back side of it, but you don't have that intense pressure gradient. It won't be as intense, but it's still going to be breezy tomorrow, just not quite as windy as today. But as we head into the latter part of the week here, I'm talking about Thursday, into Thursday, breezy conditions return, but there'll be a stronger south wind coming into play here. So to kind of sum it up, strong winds throughout the evening continue and overnight tonight, but they will begin to relax as we head towards morning, or they'll begin to lighten up, I should say, as we head towards morning. And even though we stay breezy tomorrow, it will not be as windy as today. So that's what we're looking at in terms of.
Go back over here to this.
And I'm going to switch gears here in just a little bit here. So in Nowata, Oklahoma, I currently in a camper with 2 kids. What are the wind gusts? Well, I'd have to figure. Let me figure out where Nowata, Oklahoma is, and I will answer your question. All right. So give me just a second here. Nowata, Oklahoma. And those winds are crazy tonight. And, there's been some wind damage today. Oh, you're way up there in northeastern parts of Oklahoma, just north of Tulsa. So you're probably in the middle of seeing some really strong winds up there at this point in time in northeastern Oklahoma. Let me see what they're currently blowing at here. Give me just a second. Looks like they're gusts up to 32 in that area. I would think that overnight tonight you could see some wind gusts as high as 45 to 50 maybe. I think you'll be okay though in the trailer. I think you'll be fine. So I'm good, Chad. Thank you. So Marilyn, where are you? Where do you live? Yeah, there was and let's talk about that a little bit. There was everything really unfolded last night the way we said it would. It was basically after midnight we had these areas of storm. The first line just kind of weakened. It just never really never did too much. But then we had that secondary line that kind of came in and kind of teamed up with everything got going in the wee hours of the morning. The main storm energy kicked out, and that's kind of when you began to see that that line of storms really take shape. Most of what we saw with that line of storms was damaging winds. Matter of fact, I can show you this here. Let's go back over to. To this source. Let's talk about what we saw here. So this is the storm reports. These are the storm reports from last night. If you take a look at these icons here, you notice where you see a whole lot of wind in the Metroplex here. But you don't see a lot over us because the line of thunderstorms didn't really get going until, like I say, kind of until after it kind of got east of us. And my computer has locked up. My computer's been locking up on me a lot lately here, but it looks like it's locked up on me here. So. But anyway, there was a tornado, and it was a kind of a tornado kind of embedded within that line. But there was a tornado up here out of Oklahoma, which is northeast of Ardmore. There was some damage there. It looks to me like, just based upon the damage that I've seen, the pictures there, looks like EF1, maybe EF2 damage there, east of Pauls Valley near Ada, Oklahoma. There's been some reported quite a bit of wind damage down in the Dallas area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that could perhaps maybe be some spin-ups down there too, although that nothing there has been confirmed. There's also been some tornadic activity today across the deep south today as well. So looks like it's there's
source here.
All right. So Suzanne says she's in Mobile. Pretty scary right now. I could probably look at the radar and see what's going on there. Yeah, I was just talking about that, Chad. Out of Oklahoma, had that, like I say, looked like EF1, EF2 type damage there. But yeah, right now going across Alabama there, pretty good line of thunderstorms, but it's mostly like a line of wind and rain is what it mostly is. So that's kind of what we had. So John, I've answered it. You've asked me that several times. I've answered that several times, and I've already told you, yes, I think it's going to be, at least early on, going to be active here. Not trying to be ugly with you there, man, but you've asked me that several times. So let's get back to the last night. So this line develops, and it just kind of all came together just east of us there. So we had this line of wind and rain that moved through the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then kind of moved up again, that little tornado up near Ada, Oklahoma. And there's been a couple there across the deep south. I think Waynesboro, Mississippi had a pretty good one today too. So what we saw last night is it's called a QLCS, quasi-linear convective system. Okay. And in a quasi-linear, it's called quasi because it's not just a straight line. It's a line of thunderstorms, but they're kind of like this. So it's not straight. It's kind of, there's kinks in it, and there's things like that. So we get to the and with embedded within those little kinks is where you can kind of get some spin ups. And usually with a QLCS, they're usually quick, brief, a weak spin up tornadoes. But occasionally they can be isolated, can be a little bit stronger, but very rarely do you ever see them becoming the violent kind. So there's been a lot of I probably shouldn't have done this, but I'm making some enemies. I'm making some enemies on social media, and the enemies that I make, now I know I'm probably fighting a losing battle, is I'm trying to fight these people that are using scary words for no reason on social media. So if you think about it, yesterday there's a post I put on my page here. John, I feel bad. I wasn't trying to be ugly, man. You've just asked me that several times, and I've answered it, and I don't really have anything new for you. I'm sorry if I came across as being ugly. I didn't mean to be, but I don't have anything new to add to it. I mean, nothing's changed as far as my thoughts go on that. But back to what I was talking about. So we're looking at this graphic. All right. So the graphic itself is okay. It talks about, the highlighted area where there might be a better chance for, severe weather and whatnot. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is this individual, the words he used, particularly dangerous situation with supercells producing tornadoes. So when I think about that, I think about a situation where we're in the spring months, which we're kind of getting there now, hot, humid. We get these supercell thunderstorms that are tracking across an area, and they're producing these strong tornadoes, and they're on to they're reaching the ground, and they're staying on the ground for a period of time, and they're doing a lot of damage. To me, that's a particularly dangerous situation. Now, I'm not trying to say squall lines aren't dangerous, because they can be, but they're usually more of a danger in terms of straight line winds than violent tornadoes. They typically don't produce, but they can produce still damage, but they're usually not what I would consider violent. Violent is like EF3, EF4, EF5 kind of damage. That's what I would consider violent. So another issue I have is the term tornado outbreak. It's just getting used way too much now. And I'm going to sum this all up in a few minutes and tell you why I feel the way I do about it. So a tornado outbreak is a situation where we have what? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can do it. So we're so when you think about a tornado outbreak, all right, you think about situations like May 3rd, 1999, up in the Oklahoma City area. I'm just using a couple of examples off the top of my head. And then you think about the I think it was April 27th, 2011, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, that big tornado outbreak they had over that way. What happens in situations is you have a lot of thunderstorms. They're supercells. There's a prime atmosphere for tornadoes, and those supercells are producing long track tornadoes that are violent. That is a tornado outbreak. What we had last night, there was somebody on social media. This individual has a large following, and I don't know why he does. I mean, there's nothing special about this person, but he does. This person does have a large following. And this person was saying, we had a tornado outbreak this morning. No. And I said, no, we didn't. Well, of course, I had most people on there, and this is on X. There's all just so much garbage on X. But there's some good stuff on there too. It's not all bad. But anyway, so I did reply on there is no, this was not a tornado outbreak this morning. This was a situation where we had a lot of wind and a couple of tornadoes. That is not a tornado outbreak. Well, this individual tried to argue with me that it was, and no, it's not. I mean, there's reports of 2 tornadoes, maybe 3, and that's about it. That's not a tornado outbreak. Somebody else on social media was trying to compare this to the El Reno tornado that happened back several years ago, the big tornado outbreak up there in Oklahoma, the big tornado that hit near El Reno. I chased it, actually. No, this was not anything like that at all. And I told him, I was like, no, it's not. I'm not going to get into arguing and shouting match with them. But I'm tired of all this hoopla on social media. And here is the reason why. I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this for over 20 years. When I first got into weather, I had this tendency to get excited about it, and I would see things that didn't exist. I would look at all of the parameters that you would have for a severe or snowstorm or something, all the parameters that you had, and I wouldn't look at and I would ignore what you didn't have. Well, the guy I'd worked for, a guy named David Hartman in Jackson, Mississippi, which is one of the best meteorologists. I'm blessed that I got to work for him. He sat me down and said, Ken, if you ever want to be a good meteorologist, if you ever want to be good and you want to get it right, you're going to look at what you don't have versus what we do have. He said, I can tell you right now, 9 times out of 10, the don'ts are going to outweigh the do's in weather. And he's right. You know, you can look at a chart and there's maybe one thing missing, and that will be the difference between something really bad and something like we had last night. I don't consider what we had last night really bad. Was it bad? Yeah. Yes, it was some damage. There was a couple of tornadoes, and if you were impacted, yeah, it was bad for you. But that's not what I consider really bad. So I have built my career around trying to get the forecast as right as I possibly can. It's impossible to get it right all the time. There's no way that you can do it. It's not an exact science. But we work really hard to try to get the forecast right. So we put out this good information without all that crazy hype and whatnot. And people ignore it over the bad information that's out there by these kids who do not know how to forecast at all. They don't have 20 plus years of experience in forecasting weather. They're weather enthusiasts or weather hobbyists. Some of them are pretty good, but a lot of them are really bad. And they don't know how to word things, because when you word things like that, it's when the public gets confused. So my problem with it is, at some point, there's so much, I'm telling you folks, there is so much bad, and there is a lot of it. And you just wait. We're just now getting started. You let get deeper into the spring, and we start seeing actually real events come together. It's going to be through the roof, and you're going to have storm anxiety through the roof here. So what happens is you see so much of this garbage and crap out there that these people are putting out there, and then nothing happens, and you're eventually going to start ignoring it because, oh, they always say that. And guess what? I get lumped into that. Because you assume that I am the same as that person there, and I'm not. You always say this is going to happen. No, I didn't say that was going to happen. I got it. So anyway, so it's the hysteria. It's all the anxiety. You know, I'm trying to fight that. I'm trying to give you the good information. It's like I'm fighting a losing battle, because every single event, even my most loyal of viewers have been watching me for years, will send me these scary graphics. Hey, Ken, do you buy this? And I'll most times say, no, I don't. I didn't think so. I mean, I was waiting for you to say it, but you know, it just grabs your attention. And then there's going to be a situation coming up at some point in time where there really will be a really bad situation, something that will be really bad. Oh, they always say that ain't nothing going to happen. And then guess what? It's the cry wolf syndrome. It's going to happen. These people on social media, no matter how bad I fight them, they're going to always do this stuff. I cannot beat them. Because the public loves chaos and you're going to follow people like that. But all I can do is just continue to put out the best information and try to get the forecast right. I'm not trying to get licks and clicks and likes and follows. I like that because, I mean, it helps me, it helps me get the good information to more people. But I want to build my reputation not on the guy that screams loud every time that there's going to be a tornado warning or a tornado outbreak, and be the guy that says, hey, look, this is nothing to worry about. You're going to come to me for, that's what I want you to come to me for. Don't worry that there is ever a situation where I think we need to be worried. I will let you know, and you'll know about it, and I'll tell you about it. My saying is, be prepared, not scared. When I'm worried, you should be too. When I'm not, then don't. I appreciate all the good stuff out, the good comments there, guys. Katie, the wind's going to last the rest of the night. Not as bad tomorrow, but still pretty breezy. So, and it's pretty chilly outside tonight. Tomorrow does look kind of cool, Vanessa. But actually, the weekend could be kind of chilly. So, all right, I got to go get ready for the newscast. I don't know. Are we going on time tonight with the president speaking or what?
That's a great question.
I don't think so. I doubt it. So I'm sure we're going on late. But anyway, I'm going to jump off here, guys. I appreciate y'all the kind words and following me here. And we'll have the latest forecast come up tonight on News Channel 6 whenever the president gets through speaking, which who knows when that's going to be.